All right, we're here to talk about this cool Starfall Sabers Corran Horn that was commissioned and I did the install for. There was a little bit of specificity that went into this from the client because he had seen Nick's personal saber from 2 years ago. So we'll talk about that. But let's jump down to the table. We'll go over the internals. We'll talk about some of those specificities. We'll jump back out. We'll go over a few things with the blade and controls and show off a couple sound fonts, and then we'll wrap it up. Thanks for checking it out. All right, we're looking at a Starfall Corran Horn speeder bike hilt. I believe this is a kind of take on the mystery sabers you can get from his Etsy. They're just going to be specifically geared toward the speeder bike design. So the customer on this one had some specifics with regard to, he had seen Nick's personal Corran Horn saber from about 2 years ago that I think he ultimately sold. So there were some appointments he wanted to make and some programming changes he wanted to make. So right off the bat, we've got a Cosmic Intergalactic NeoPixel tactile switch that fits in the same 8mm spot that the Colimian Custom Sabers brass tactile switch fits in. This sports a stock V3 in the emitter, and then we'll just take the grip off. Now, note to the owner, the grip is intended to align all of the set screws. It does come with an Allen key. So just know that the blade retention is here, the grip retention is here, and then the blade PCB holder is here. Now, it's not the same size, so you won't be able to adjust it, but just know that this is the one you don't want to mess with, because if that gets loosened, it could get in contact with the switches and cause some issues. So yeah, I've already backed off the screw, so we will pull the grip off. Now, it is a little bit tight, but that's to be expected. Over time, it will loosen up. And yeah, so here is the 3D printed chassis I designed. It has the Starfall logo in it. Clearly labeled positive and negative terminals, but spring sides are negative. And then it's got some 2020 NeoPixel accents. There are 15 of them. And we have the crystal upgrade. And it sports a Profi V2 kill switch, 28mm KR bass speaker. And now normally on some of these I've done, I will split the accents into subblades so that we can get lots of different blinkies. But because the customer had some specific requests about what he had seen with regard to Nick's hilt, I sort of kind of backed off and simplified it. So you'll have 4 blade styles. You'll have your accent LED, your crystal, your switch, and then your main. The config is on the SD card. But the customer's told me he's not going to be reprogramming, so we'll just skip that. It does take an 18650 battery, so we'll go ahead and put it in. Now, note to the customer, we do want to kind of grip the chassis as we put it in, because it's just a press fit. There is a little bit of glue here, but if you're constantly just yanking the battery without supporting it, over time you could pull that out. So yeah, we just hit the kill switch. Now I've programmed this to have the Corran Horn preset to be the first because of all of the custom accent designs that we had talked about in our email exchange. But it does support the Starfall sound font package. There's 8 presets and then a battery level indicator as the last preset. So yeah, so we'll just go over a couple of these animations here, and then we'll back out, we'll put the blade in, and then we'll wrap it up. So yeah, the customer on this particular sound font wanted to have like pulsing, like a breathing effect on the crystal and the switch, which is what he had seen in Nick's saber. And then the accent strip on the sound card that Nick was sporting 2 years ago. This is very similar to that. But when we turn the saber on, and this is your power and this is your activation, we switch to a blinking light. We get a more of a active accent, and then the crystal sort of mimics the blade, and these do react to blaster blocks, clashes, and lockups, okay? And it does have gesture on and gesture off, so we'll switch it off. So to advance presets, we'll hit the auxiliary switch. You can see we got a different color, different blinking pattern. And then these will change in the off and on state. So color changed, animation changed, and then yeah, smooth swing, right? Now, not all of the accents will react. I've programmed them a little bit differently depending on, what's going on with sound font or what I want it to have happen based on the colors. But most of them do. It does take a 7/8 blade, so we'll demonstrate that here in a second. But yeah, when we're ready, we'll put the grip on. And again, we want to align all of our set screws and be cautious of the last 1/2 inch here. And then we'll cinch it down and we'll put a blade in. Okay, so we talked about the internals. So now we're here to kind of just go over some sound fonts, blade styles, and some quick button press functions. So with the saber off, power, if we hold it for a second, we'll start our track. And on this particular font, because it's speeder bike, it's just a bunch of speeder bike sounds. And if we hold it for 1 second, we'll turn that off. So let's go to a sound font that will have our track. Starfall. Okay, so hold it for a second. And same to turn it off. Now, with the saber upright, when the blade is ignited, we can still start our track in the middle of playing with the saber. So we just have to be upright. Any other orientation will be a force effect, which on this Starfall sound font collection could either be a quote, a sound effects, or a mix between the two. So let's go back. Show off the Corran Horn blade style. Okay. So this one has color change direct. In order to do color change, we'll hold Aux, press power. We'll go directly to a purplish blade, and that's, again, with the lure. This is a dual phase crystal in the novel, and so we're just switching between two colors rather than jumping into the color wheel. So we'll go from like a whitish color to a purplish, okay? So we'll do a force effect by holding for a second. We get a speeder bike sound. Now the track on this one, again, is a speeder sequence. So if we're upright and we start the track, we're just gonna get a bunch of sound effects. It's gonna go through a bunch of sequence sounds, so. And then again, if we just hold it for a second while we're upright, we'll turn that off, okay? We do have gesture controls, so we can twist on, twist off, or we can thrust on. Now the gesture controls to turn on the saber will jump into battle mode. So I'm gonna go over that here in a second. Twist on, twist off, thrust on, which is sort of a horizontal push or pull. Okay, now we're in battle mode. Battle mode just means you don't have to hold a button to engage lockup. So if I clash the saber, I'm in a lockup. I can move it around gently, but if I jerk away, we'll get out of that. So same goes for melts and drags. If we clash the saber in a horizontal direction, in battle mode, without pressing a button, we're gonna get a melt until we pull away. So same goes for drag, okay? So that's just battle mode in a nutshell, right? That only happens when you twist the saber on or when you thrust the saber on, okay? So those are your two gesture controls. Otherwise, in regular mode, when we just ignite the power button, if we clash, we're just getting clashes until we hold the power button and clash the saber. So that'll go as much as I want, as violently as I want, until I let go of the button. Same goes for melts Same goes for stab. Okay, so let's go to a different font here.
Celestial.
So we have different animations on the CIG switch, different colors in the on and off state, and then our aux button is just blaster deflex. But it can also be the button we hold to engage lockups if we want. Either button works as a lockup if you just hold it. All right. In the upright position or any position, aux will advance, but if we're inverted,
Celestial.
we'll go backwards in font.
Starfall.
Okay?
Celestial. Infinium.
So we'll just go over a couple other fonts here.
Hero's Journey.
Ruin is the one sound font in the Starfall collection that has a preon, which only works if we ignite the saber regularly. So, if we twist off, if we twist on, we're going to bypass that preon. So no animation, just right into the ignition retraction. Okay. All right, so let's check out the battery level indicator, and we'll wrap up.
Battery level.
Okay, so we're on the battery level indicator. This is programmed for a 32-inch blade. So when the blue is all the way at the tip, that's 100% charge. So this is a 95-ish% charge. As this goes down, I think the color might change, but that just the lower it is towards the hilt, the less charge it is. You're probably going to experience speaker crackle before you get there. Same goes for the accents. I mentioned this up close, but all of the accents are going to go from green to red like a traffic sign. So green is good, yellowish is middling, and then red needs to be charged. But again, you'll probably experience other side effects of a low speaker, a low battery charge before you get to red. So that's going to wrap it up. Again, to the client, I appreciate your business and your patience as we waited for all of the components to arrive, and we discussed all of the different programming requests that you have. I really hope you enjoy the Saber. Thanks for checking it out, and stay tuned for more installs. Thanks.